We are going to talk about Kawhi Leonard, his injury, and his future with the Los Angeles Clippers because he does have a player option. He can leave very soon, right after the bumper.
Victory formation.
What's good, everybody? Jeff Lightsy Jr. here with the Black Boss Channel and Victory Formation. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, and the notification bell because we upload every single day. Now, it has been released. It is official that Kawhi Leonard actually had a slight tear in his ACL, and that is what caused him to miss the rest of the playoffs. You know, he sustained that injury against the Jazz. He didn't play at all against the Phoenix Suns in the conference finals. We saw Paul George do what he could do, but the fact that they were missing Kawhi Leonard, we kind of knew there wasn't much of a chance of them beating Phoenix, who is now leading, obviously, in the NBA Finals. But what does this mean for Kawhi Leonard's future? We know that Paul George signed long term with the Clippers, and he will be there over the next 4 to 5 years, as long as the Clippers. Oh man, the Clippers continue to fulfill that contract as long as they don't ship him out of town. But Kawhi Leonard has a player option. Kawhi Leonard can opt out of his deal with the Clippers soon and become a free agent. And it gets me wondering because we know Kawhi Leonard is not the type of guy that's going to rush back from injury. We all know he is the creator of load management. He is the king of taking as much time as possible, which nothing is wrong with that because when you're that good, you have that luxury. And when you sustain an injury as severe as a torn ACL that required surgery, that we know is an injury that takes months and months to heal, he's not someone he's going to miss a good chunk of next season, I believe. Now, the fact that this happened, his injury happened in July, and the season starts in October, or you know what I mean, like that, or we're talking about early November. We're only talking about a few months in between the breaks of the season because they want to get back on schedule. That way, the season ends in June instead of like, or you know, the latest teams can play is like mid-June, right? Instead of going all the way into late June to early July to mid-July, what you're in right now, the finals still isn't over, right? So I think Kawhi actually injured himself in June, right? I said July, but he injured himself in June, and it's going to be a quick turnaround. He's going to miss a big chunk of next season, if not majority of next season, because once again, Kawhi Leonard is not the type to rush back from injury. So what does that mean for his future with the Clippers? Well, it could mean two things. I believe that this could actually work in the Clippers' benefit. How? Because Kawhi Leonard, once again, I think is someone, one, who doesn't rush back from injury, and two, you expect him to come back because ACL tears are so common in sports now. A lot of these guys come back and are the same player, if not better. It's the Achilles that kind of gives us a little shakes and, you know, different other kind of injuries. But Kawhi Leonard is young enough, being age, Kawhi's only 30. He's only age 30. Right? We see what Chris Paul's doing at age 36. So he's only 30. He's got a good at least 5 years, right? Like most people would imagine he has a solid 5 years left of being really good, right? Or you know, 3, 4 years of being really good, you know, but 5, 6, 7, 8 years left in his career for sure. The problem with that is that I think Kawhi is the type of player that he's the type, clearly he doesn't mind leaving. He doesn't mind changing teams. He goes from San Antonio to Toronto to the Clippers, and if he decided he wanted to move on, cool. But the fact that his injuries are starting to pile up, the fact that he is not someone who is going to play through injuries, I think this could work in the Clippers' benefit because they could convince him into signing a long-term deal like they were able to do with Paul George. And the fact that the Clippers are no longer the little brothers of the Lakers. The Clippers are no longer at the bottom of the NBA. The Clippers are no longer the laughing stock of the NBA. We know for years the Clippers have been one of the biggest jokes in the NBA. But the Clippers actually have a rich owner who's willing to spend smartly, a really, really talented head coach in Tyronn Lue, and a roster that has some really good players. You got Marcus Morris, who's under contract for a while. Reggie Jackson isn't under contract, but you could probably convince him to resign if he doesn't go out and get big money from some team because of the performance he was able to put on in the playoffs. Rajon Rondo can still play. Luke Kennard can still play. Obviously, you got Paul George, who is a hooper. So you have a really good roster. You're getting a new court. You're getting a new arena in just a few years because you bought the Coliseum. You're going to build that up to be Clipperland, right? So the Clippers are a team on the rise, or organization on the rise, that are no longer at the bottom. That, I believe, while also being in LA, because we know Kawhi Leonard always wanted to play in LA, wanted to be in LA, same with Paul George, is what got them to the Clippers in the first place. Being becoming a first-class organization with a rich owner and a roster and a coach that actually, fits the part, could get you to get Kawhi to re-sign long-term. Now, and also having the benefit that you guys didn't get a fair shot at this year's playoffs with Kawhi's injury. Now, if Kawhi would have played and been healthy this year, and the Clippers lose to Phoenix in the conference finals, then there's a chance you lose Kawhi Leonard to free agency. There's a chance he opts out, he elects to go to free agency and chooses the next best destination, whether it's going across the street to the Lakers, whether it's going east to team up with the Miami Heat, Jimmy Butler and the Heat, whether it's going down to Dallas and thinking you can make some shake with Luka. His options are now more wide open. But the fact that you can get a fair shake, and Paul George, whether you like him or not, played well during these playoffs. He played really well during these playoffs. Obviously, he had a couple stinkers in there, but he played well. That might be enough to get Kawhi to sign long-term with the Clippers. And even if he doesn't sign long-term, right? Even if he decides to do another 1-1 or another 2+1 or whatever, getting Kawhi to buy in for a few more years and having that window with Kawhi, a healthy Kawhi at that, and Paul George might be enough to finally get the Clippers over the top, because I still think this team is talented enough to win a championship led by Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. One thing that's beautiful about Paul George, he doesn't miss many games. He doesn't really get hurt. That's the problem with the Lakers are going to have for the next few years. Anthony Davis, as great of a star that he is, always gets hurt. LeBron James is now old and starting to get hurt more often. You don't have that issue with Paul George, who is your second fiddle. Now, Kawhi Leonard, the injuries might start to rack up, and obviously load management is a thing, but at least your second star is always going to be there when your first star is available. Can't say the same about the Lakers and Anthony Davis. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers moving forward. Leave your thoughts in the chat. Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. Once again, I'm Jeff Lightsy Jr. at the Black Boss Channel and Victory Formation. And follow us on Instagram at VF Sports Show. We post content on there all the time. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Peace.